Welcome back to the Fight Season Podcast. Torrez Finney, you're coming back. I know it's a little short notice here. I know that you're back a little quicker than we both expected here, but I'm happy to have you back. How are you feeling, man? How you doing?
Feeling good, man. I actually just got done training. I feel really good. Body feels good. Yeah, man. I'm as surprising as it is, to get right back into a fight camp after just leaving one. It's not really too bad because my body is already adaptive to it. As anybody watching the interview, I just fought last Tuesday, so
Yeah.
It's nothing different really. It's like, hey, you had a hard sparring session last week. Turn around, gave yourself a little break off. I only had like a week off, so I mean, that's all I about needed. It really good. Jump right back in the fight, kept them ready to go. Haven't lost anything. Cardio feels good, and body feels good.
That's great. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I'll just be perfectly upfront. I was watching. I was locked in. I was really looking forward to it. I was really rooting for you. Obviously disappointing for me. I can only imagine, what you've been dealing with. But just what are your emotions like right now? Just in terms of here, let's not bury the lead. You're getting a third opportunity, by the way. I buried the lead there. You're getting a third opportunity to fight on Dana White's Contender Series. Obviously, it didn't work out the second time. You still got the win. You're still undefeated. Just where are your emotions at right now?
I talk about it all the time. It's like on to the next. Leaving everything behind, and I really live by that mentality, and it really helps the fact that I used to be a former football player, so the coaches always talk about put it behind, on to the next play, put it behind, on to the next game. And that's how I'm looking at this now. Put that fight behind, on to the next fight. Yes, I will agree. That was not my best performance. Now, credit to Cam because Cam did some good things to negate some of the things that I would like to do usually. But it's a part of his skill set. And that's what that's some of the things that I have a little bit of a gripe on is, it's like, yeah, we're on the show, but like these two good prospects and there's certain things that both guys can do strength and weaknesses wise that can nullify how the fight might go. And, Cam just had one of those things along with his attributes with him being very tall. He was not 6'2". He was every bit of 6'4" or 6'5".
I was going to ask about that. We'll get to that, but keep going.
Yes. And, I know it wasn't my best performance. And yes, it wasn't the most exciting type of fight, obviously compared to last year. But I think Cam just posed a different problem, and that's the beauty of, like, as funny as it sounds, all three of these contenders fight. They all pose a different problem. Yuri posed a completely different thing than Cam did, and Cam posed a completely different thing than Abdallah or Irami is going to oppose. So, it's about how you adjust to each fight. But I think that continues, in my opinion, to show the type of fighter I am. I've seen three different type of fighters, and I've come in and I've been able to impact my game on every single one of them. And these aren't just anybody. These are, again, some of the top prospects not in the country, in the world. You're going Russia, Australia, now a guy from Spain. I mean, it's like I'm not just fighting anybody. So I definitely think just going out here, continuing to do the best that I can. I always go for the finish. I don't ever look to go for a decision. So just go out here and handle my business like usual.
We will be right back to the episode in just a second, but first, I got to remind you guys, the NFL season is finally back. It's like Christmas has come early here in America, and Inside Fighting has some presents for you guys because we've teamed up with DraftKings, an official partner of the NFL, to bring you an amazing offer where right now, if you're a new DraftKings customer, you can sign up using our promo code INSIDEFIGHTING, bet $5, and you'll receive $250 of bonus bets instantly, as well as 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. If sports betting isn't available in your state, don't worry about it. Just go play DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports. That's how you get in on the football. That's what I do. I'm over here in California. It's my favorite thing to do at DraftKings. But again, new DraftKings customers who bet $5 will receive $250 in bonus bets, as well as 1 month of NFL Plus Premium just by using our promo code INSIDEFIGHTING. What was your emotion like when you got that phone call that you're going to have to fill, that they're going to give you a third opportunity on the show, that you get to fill in on short notice? I mean, were there ever any doubts creeping into your head leading up to that phone call happening? Like, where was your head at, and what was your reaction when you got the call?
Well, man, like, not going to point them out, but like I was actually almost in the process of signing with another promotion. Big deal. Great pay. We was actually getting close to making that announcement, actually. And then
Wow.
I get a phone call from my management team, Malky, first round management. And he's like, "Have you signed that contract yet?" I said, "No, not yet." And he's like, "Well, hold on." And I was like, "All right, what is it?" Because there's only one thing. There could only be one possible promotion that could hold me off from that. And I said, "What?"
Right.
And there was the opportunity. He told me all the details behind it. And I talked with my team. I'm going to be honest. I was happy for the opportunity, but my family, my team was behind me, but my family, they are not the biggest Dana White fans, and they were no longer on the side of me ever pursuing the UFC necessarily. Like, obviously, they would pursue wherever I fight, but the UFC was like, "Man, forget that." But based off his comments, but I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel that way. I never have any like personal things towards Dana. I never have, but um, I was excited for the opportunity. And plus, it's like you look at the opportunity based off of what you see. An opportunity to be the first guy ever 3-0 in the Contender Series. The story, it hits so big right now. I'm 25. Let's go for it. And it's like it's a great opportunity. I love the matchup, so let's go for it. Let's go for it. And I didn't think twice about it too much.
Yeah, I mean it's great timing first of all, but so yeah, just to circle back, obviously what you're mentioning is that this has sort of been it was everywhere when it happened when Dana I won't mince his words. He said you'd get decimated in the UFC. That was his quote. And so it sounds like your family didn't appreciate that the way that the wording that he put it in.
Yes, they took a few of his comments disrespectfully. Again, I didn't feel that way necessarily.
Right.
Because I'm be honest, man, like I've been in sports since I was 4 years old. That's not even close. That don't even make my top 10. Like that's.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can say. I mean, plus it's hard for things to affect me when I actually know how I compete with other guys that are best, literally in his rankings, literally amongst the best in the world. So like, I know how I compete against those guys. So I don't ever think like, oh, you'll get decimated. If I would get decimated, I would surely get decimated in training. But granted, it's training, but they don't even come close. Heck, I get more compliments from those guys than anything. They're like, "Oh, you are UFC rated," and I hear it
Right.
all the time. But again, this is more of the point of like proving myself right rather than trying to prove somebody wrong. I do know it's like the ongoing battle of me and Dana, but it's not really in my eyes. It's more the fact that I'm just coming forward to continue to fight. I mean, if you put somebody in front of me, I'm going to continue to show that I'm going to keep knocking them down. And I just feel like, again, you keep winning, you be undeniable. I beat everybody in front of me. What could you say? And that's my mentality. I mean,
Right.
you beat everybody in front of you. What can you say? You can never debate the win. And yes, we're always going to go for the finish, but you can never debate a guy that continues to win.
Yeah, he mentioned that one of the critiques he had was that you didn't take enough fights in between. That was another one, but you had a pretty spectacular knockout, obviously. The fight that you had after your Yuri Panfera fight, and then that's the only fight that you had in between, right? Correct?
Yeah, I had the viral knockout, but
Right, exactly. That's so obviously. I don't know. I personally thought that like a win you're in type of situation. That's how I felt when I was watching it. Um, So did you consider? So did you have another? Were you like looking to just book a fight immediately when you're talking about signing with this other promotion? Are you thinking I'm going to sign with them and try to get as many fights as I can so that I can get back to the UFC? Are you thinking like I'm giving up on my UFC dream? I'm going to just try out another promotion and see where it takes me.
It was basically a promotion that definitely would try to is competing again with
Okay, got it. I got
so
it.
it wasn't necessarily like that type of thing. Like we
Say
would just
less.
fight.
Right, right, right.
Like, hey, as a prospect, we're taking away from y'all technically in a way. But um, I the other thing is like yes, I did get that one fight in. I only had one fight, but the problem is, as I've stated on a few interviews that I was signed to be on Ultimate Fighter at the beginning of the year.
Right.
Um, Signed to be on Ultimate Fighter, um, that negated me from fighting January, February. and March. So that I can't fight. So because when you're going for the Ultimate Fighter, obviously you can't fight. You don't want to have no injuries. You go through
Right.
the whole process. I made it all the way. They flew me all the way to Vegas. The week before you're about to enter the house. They take your phone, do the whole ordeal. The day before we're about to go through that process, the head producer comes up there. He tells me going a different route. We're not going to select you. I said, okay, and I looked at a blessing in disguise. I was like, man, it would already been hard to cut weight twice in the span of 4 weeks. I still went for the opportunity, even though it would have been a risk for me. But even though going for that opportunity, it negated me from fighting. Because usually, if anybody looked at anything I've been doing over the past few years, I usually fight at the beginning of the year every year. So that is just usually what I do. And I couldn't do that because I was trying to, again, take advantage of this opportunity that they helped provide for me for being on Ultimate Fighter. So I was like, okay. And literally the moment after that, it took us about a week and a half or 2 weeks because it's not easy for me to find fights. We was blessed to be able to find a fight with Combat Night. I was able to get an opportunity to fight against Tyson Jeffries. Little do people know, I was offered to be on the Dana White Contender Series before that fight in May. And so that's when I spoke on here the last interview and said it was a risk for me to take that fight because I had already had the Contender Series and it wasn't necessary. So I could have been on the Contender Series with no fights,
So what you're saying is that they offered you Contender Series even after telling you that you needed to get some fights in. They still offered you Contender Series before you even accepted another fight to begin with. Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Right.
That,
Okay.
that fight wasn't necessary
Right.
overall. And I still, if anybody knows me, I literally said I wanted to take that fight because I didn't want the first time for me to be in the cage. I literally said this on this interview. The first time to be in this cage,
Yeah.
be on the Contender Series again. I didn't want that for myself. I want constantly I want to stay active because I don't like those long droughts in between fights.
Right.
So that's the reason why I took it. And granted, it was a risk, but obviously that risk paid off, turned viral knockout, boom. Now we're on the Contender Series again. I'll fight. I feel like I'm getting the 3 to 4 fights right here in Dana White's face. I'm getting the experience right here in his face.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy for the opportunity. I don't. Again, there's so much stuff that goes on within UFC. I don't ever think that is anything malicious or towards anyone. It's just the fact that there's so much stuff that goes on. Things come and go. They got so many head guys of all these different areas. I mean, it is what it is. So.
Does it change your mindset at all, knowing just what he said, based on the way the fight went? It was a dominant win. I mean, it was a unanimous decision across the board. Obviously, you didn't get the finish. Maybe it didn't go the way you had hoped, but it was still a dominant win. Does it change your mindset at all going into this fight? Are you like, I don't know, do you feel extra sense of pressure, or do you feel a little bit more like, hey, I have nothing to lose at this point? Like, where's your mindset at going in? This is the third time. It's unprecedented. It's kind of like, what do you have to lose, right? What's your mindset?
You make a good point. Again, I think this is where the world continues to learn more about Torrez Finney. Nothing will waver me. One of my favorite things is one of my favorite verses is 2 Corinthians 15:58. Be unmovable. Be firm. And that's one thing about me. I am going to stay firm on what I do. Yes, every opponent provides a different scenario of how I'm going to fight them, but the goal still remains the same. And yes, the goal is to go in there and the objective is to win. Now, the goal is also to go in there and get the finish. That is the main thing as well. If you get the finish, you get the win. So I'm always going to go in there and get the finish. Again, Cam just posed a different problem that I think these others doesn't necessarily pose. And yes, I'm going to go in there and get the win. I think he's a really good opponent. Abdullah Irami, he's a really good opponent, really good Muay Thai striking overall, scrambly, explosive. So I definitely like the matchup. It's a really fun matchup for me. I think it's going to be a fun fight on both sides. So yeah, I really like the fight and the matchup. So I'm really confident in what I'm able to do and go in there. And I really do believe I'll be able to go in there and get the finish on him. So yes, the goal is go in there and get that W.
Yep. Is there a part of you that feels like, well, what is it that makes you think that I could show you anything differently without with just the very next fight, just like 2 months later, when you told me that I'm not ready for the UFC? What makes, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, why would this situation be any different if he thinks that you need 3 or 4 more fights? Does that play a factor in your mind at all?
No, because I listened to the words he said. Actually, he said you would get decimated in the UFC based off your performance tonight.
Okay, right.
That exact words that came out of his mouth. You will
That's a
get
good point.
decimated in the UFC based off your performance tonight. Do I disagree with him? We'll have to see. But
Right,
based on my performance against Cam Rowston, he probably thought I would get decimated. What about my performance against Irami?
right.
What if I have a much better performance? Would I get decimated based off that performance? Would that now change your eye? And I also think me taking this fight, a little bit on short notice, again, does it help me? It's like, it shows you I want to fight. It shows you I'm trying to get fights. I'm taking anything that's coming my way. I accepted the Ultimate Fighter. I accepted the Contender Series on all occasions. I accepted to still fight even though I had a Contender Series fight. So it's showing that I always wanted to be in there. I always wanted to be in the cage. So I just feel like it's a lot of things for me. And plus, this is a great opportunity to, once again, like I say, make history, go ahead and do my thing. And heck, I mean, the go opportunity to be 10-0 as a professional. I mean, that's a great opportunity, man. I get another fight in front of the world. I know a lot of people gonna be watching based off this whole little storyline, but I'm really confident what I'm able to do. And yeah, what's the purpose of living this life when you don't sometimes go out there and take these risks? So I'm really excited. I think it's a calculated risk. I think it's a very smart move, and I think October 1st we'll definitely be able to show. And once again, the Punisher will get it with that hand raised victoriously.
I love it. I think personally, and maybe you could speak on this, that I think that you got a lot of support from fans when at the night of the fight. There were a lot of people were in your corner. Obviously, the Barstool guys were in your corner. You got Inside Fighting in your corner. You got people who are like rooting for you. That might be playing a little bit of a role too for Dana. Maybe that might help a little bit. Just talk a little bit about the fan support that you've received over the past couple of weeks since the fight and how everything's gone down.
Yeah, man, the fan support has been awesome, man. I thank you very much. I thank everybody that have supported me very much. Let me tell y'all, man, the fans have been so much on my side. Look, I see all the comments, man. I see the good. I see oh, he's not ready. He'll get I see it all, man. Look, all of that stuff only motivates me, and it's like, man, I really do got a lot of people that are very supportive of me. And heck, I get tagged in things, when I see when certain people in the middleweight division fight in the UFC, they're like, oh, you don't think Finney can beat that guy? So it's like, it's fun to, have the support and the people to be behind me. And this is crazy because I just fought last Tuesday. So it's not like there was a long time in between. This is
Right.
this is all happening in the span of like the week, so it's a beautiful thing. It definitely show you how much, your voices, when people speak up, your voices are definitely heard.
Absolutely. Just a couple more for you, and then I'll let you go. You mentioned this briefly earlier in the interview, so I have to bring it back up. I made a TikTok about your fight versus Cam, and because there was a photo of your face off with Cam that kind of went a little bit viral of the
Yeah.
height difference, and it said that he was 6'2" and you're 5'8", and I'm like, that's like a foot difference. That looks like 10 or 11 foot. So either you're lying or he's lying. Like, what's going on here?
Hey,
What's the truth?
the truth is, we don't put the height down. We let them handle it. They both lie for both of us because I'm a little bit shorter and he's a little bit taller. Like,
Right.
that brother, like, look, I played football with a lot of guys 6'5", 6'4", and I've seen them. And he was near, like, my coach, my MMA coach, Matt Harris is literally 6'2" himself. He
Okay.
was like, towering a little bit over Matt, and I'm like, oh yeah, that joke is definitely taller than what we expect. So,
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, was it a man? We hate that man. Like, no. We giving the cards that are dealt, but like, I don't. Again, it's like I'm very analytical. Like, I'm so much of like straightforward on how things go. I don't worry about too much stuff on that necessarily on the outside. So if I go in there and have the performance that I really want to go in there and have, then yes, I'm satisfied with myself. And everything else, again, I can only control what I can control. So I let everything else of that, be handled. But for me, myself personally, I'm going to go in there and do what I do, and that's handle business and go in here and try to smash this joker.
Love it. So I guess how I'd want to end here is this is your third chance. I mean, it kind of feels like this might be, you never say never in sports, obviously. Like this, there's always an opportunity, but why is it going to be different this time around? And if it doesn't work out, like let's say it doesn't work out, are you going to be putting your UFC dreams on hold and just moving on to another promotion? Or is that not where your mindset is at all? You don't even think about that yet.
No, I don't think about that yet. We'll cross that bridge if it ever gets to that bridge. I'm really confident I go in here and handle business. There's a lot of upsides, obviously, to the winning side, but that's the main thing that matters to me. Is just going in here, finding a way to get the W. And yeah, I mean, look, the third time, I actually saw the interview when he came back. I think the following week, somebody asked him in an interview about me on Ultimate Fighter, and somebody, and I think he made a case. I think the interview after my fight, my fault. He said, like, I don't think we would bring Finney back for Contender Series. We'd probably just sign him in if he went and got those 3 to 4 fights. But again, I'm offered back again. So like I've learned. I'm definitely learning. I'm still young in this game, but I'm learning that MMA is completely different from the NFL, from the NBA. Like there are so many twists and turns, like that you would never ever believe. So heck, I remember when Dan Ige literally was getting a freaking getting a massage or something. They called him like, "Hey man, you want to fight Diego Lopez in 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours?"
UFC 302, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 302.
301. 301, which I forget which one it was. Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Like you wouldn't. I don't know, man. That's just crazy to me. So it's like, this is a sport where there's so many twists and turns. It's so unpredictable. And again, it's funny how Dana White, I'm quoting Dana White, but anytime there's an opportunity, you better take advantage of it because it might pass you by. And that was one of those reasons why I took this. I was like, I don't think there probably would be ever an opportunity where somebody would get an opportunity. It's like, man, win 3 times on Contender. Technically, that might not be the best thing because you're like, no, like, man, you had to go ahead and show 3 times. But then again, I don't think anybody would ever have the opportunity to do this because most guys would get signed after the second win. So I don't think this will ever be done again. So why not go out here, do my thing, make history, and actually go get that UFC contract? It's hard for me to see him turn me down a third time. I mean, if he does, like I said, I'll be content because a no a third time ain't no different than a no a first and a second time. So like the first time, it was like, dang. The second time, I was like, it is. A third time, come on, man. Like
I know. So, but you don't want to. I saw the way your family was rooting for you in the crowd. Dana doesn't want that smoke. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm joking. Hey,
I know, man. My dad was so bad.
Oh, no, it was great. They were passionate. It was great to watch. Hey, I'm wishing you nothing but the best of luck. October 1st, 3rd time's a charm for Torrez Finney. Am I pronouncing that right, Torrez?
Yes, Torrez Finney.
Okay, cool. 3rd time's a charm, and yeah, man, go get it done, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Jesse.